Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time talking episode 20 of season 3 of Arrow called The Fallen. And wow, this episode really puts the throttle forward. It really does a nice bit in moving us towards what I'm thinking is going to be a really crazy and awesome season finale. So let's just kind of get right into things real quick. Hong Kong flashback, pretty good one this time, although I'm really just weirded out by the soldiers' ability to shoot an unarmored car that is like 10 feet, probably like 20 feet away from him with machine guns. I mean, seriously, that's ridiculous. Now I was surprised that apparently, General Shreve did succeed in unleashing the virus. So I think they would have mentioned if millions of people in Hong Kong suddenly died from a virus. So finding out how in the world did they deal with this situation is a big question mark. Now we also did get confirmation that Akio is dead. Not that this is any sort of a surprise to anybody, but here we know for sure that's what happened. And that kind of really is a big part of what's going on with Maseo in the present. You know, when he and Dig have that confrontation, and Dig really kind of gets in his face, like, man, like basically, you know, you're a pathetic, broken man. The League of Assassins is full of people who are just running away from their lives. And Dig has a really great point there. Although, if you think about if what he says is true, then you really kind of have to wonder, well, how did Sarah end up joining the League of Assassins? I mean, from where she was when we last saw her, she probably would have been really content with like a plane ticket back to Starling City, and not the whole being trained to become a murderer thing. I'm just saying here. Of course, you know, Maseo doesn't exactly take this lion down. He sort of throws it back in Dig's face. It's like, well, what do you know about what I've been through? I had to hold my son in my arms while he died and lie to him saying that he would be okay. I mean, he even does. Apparently, they get HBO in Nanda Parbat because he even throws a "you know nothing" in Diggle's face. But this, of course, all leads to Maseo briefly turning on the League of Assassins and helping Team Arrow out. Now, of course, this all falls to hell because, you know, Felicity really didn't think that plan through. And I did like that bit where he just basically says yeah, it was me, I did it, I offer you my life. And Ra's al Ghul kind of goes look, it wasn't you that betrayed me, it was Maseo Yamashiro. And I mean, it's a really great way of segging into the idea that just because Oliver's taken these vows and, you know, donned the really cool looking League of Assassins armor doesn't mean that all traces of Oliver Queen are gone. And from what I understand, that's going to be a big focus of what's going on next episode. But I gotta say, I continue to really be impressed with what they're doing with Maseo. In the comics, excuse me, it's really Tatsu who has any real presence. I mean, she even had her own series for a little while. Maseo is just basically her dead husband. Here they've really taken the time to flesh the guy out. And honestly, and kind of sadly, Maseo is a better fleshed out person than Tatsu is. Now, I'm really hoping that next season they kind of have her show up in Starling City and play around with her and, you know, make her more of a focus of what's going on. Because, you know, Katana is a really cool character, and DC's been trying to push her more. They made her a part of some new initiative that's going to be specifically targeting young girls and, you know, really playing up the female DC heroes. So, you know, cool there. Let me see. So yeah, that covers everything I had to say about Maseo. Let's sort of start with the small characters and work our way up. Ray makes it really official that he and Felicity are over. Well, he did that kind of last time around, but here he's like, look, I get it. You're totally in love with Oliver. And you can kind of tell, I really like Brandon Routh's performance there. I mean, he's trying to be a good guy, but underneath it you can see there's some hurt and some anger. But he's not going to let that get in the way of him being a decent guy and doing the right thing. And I mean, you know, the girl you're in love with, basically you realize she's in love with somebody else, and then one of the first things she does after you make it official that you're over is come to you asking for a big favor to help out this guy that she basically chose over you. And Ray is like, yeah, okay, take my jet, fine. I mean, again, you can tell there's hurt and there's anger underneath it, but he doesn't let that get in the way of him being a fundamentally good person. Let me see, what else? Again, we've kind of talked about Dig and that confrontation that he had with Maseo, and that was really, really nice stuff. And again, this is just another episode where we're seeing Dig being a cool guy, and Oliver just flat out even acknowledging, he's like, you are my brother. It's like, man, good. That was something that really has been unsaid for a long time, but here, under these circumstances, Oliver said it, and of course it's good that he did it, but it's also sad. This would probably be the last time he'd ever be able to speak to Dig, and what else really could Oliver say? He said the thing that was most in his heart in regards to Dig. And with his brother Andy gone, Oliver and Roy did kind of step in and fill those younger brothers' shoes, and Dig's been a pretty darn good older brother to the both of them. Malcolm this episode. Well, obviously Oliver is still not Malcolm's #1 fan, and they really did take some time to really drive it home that, yeah, Malcolm, this is all your fault. And I do like though that Malcolm, one, was actually the one who said the words Lazarus Pit. I mean, yes, Thea wasn't actually dead, and that's kind of how the Lazarus Pits normally work, but whatever. But here it really seems to sink into him like, man, I screwed up badly, and they're right, this is all my fault. And I think, what was it, Felicity even called him Raj's #1 goon, which I thought was funny. And then you even get to hear that little bit of panic in Malcolm's voice where it's like, don't let them, basically, it's better that they don't take us alive. Like, again, he has indeed been tortured by the League of Assassins, so he knows what's in store for them. Nothing particular to say about Thea this episode. I mean, she did spend this episode like basically dead or, kind of goofed up out of her mind. Although having come back, it looks like she's retained her loathing for her father. Now, the question is she going to use this as an opportunity to sort of dump the Thea Queen name and maybe adopt the name Mia Dearden, like a lot of people have been speculating? I don't know. I mean, basically it kind of looks like on paper, the official records from the hospital, it wouldn't be very difficult for her to just basically say, or for Team Arrow to arrange it. It's like, yes, Thea Queen died from injuries she sustained when she was attacked by some unknown intruder or whatever. And then just sort of rebrand herself, as it were, as Mia Dearden, and from there kind of take on the role of sidekick to Oliver. Obviously we're not going to be able to have Colton Haynes around all the time. He is, of course, going to come back from time to time, but still, we can sort of see her more firmly take a step down the road to becoming Speedy, which is cool. This is something I think that's really been needed for Thea for a while. Let's see. And of course this brings us to Felicity. And of course, the big culmination of 3 years worth of Felicity, and unsurprisingly, the internet went absolutely berserk, as expected. But, this really did feel like a coming together that was earned. Oliver and Felicity really do get together. She says that she loves him, and they get that night together, but it's all under the absolute worst circumstances possible. And this is textbook good writing. Give the characters what they want, but give it to them in the absolute worst way possible. And I know some people were sort of speculating online. It's like, is Felicity going to get pregnant from this? And, Mark Guggenheim, the big producer guy, even had to step in on Twitter and basically say, no, we're not going to do that. Good, because that's like the most cliche thing ever. And Oliver already has a kid running around, which 5 will get you 10 is finally going to come to a head next season. That would go along really well with the big rumor that Felicity's dad is going to be part of Hive, which has really already been set up as the big bad for next season. I'm kind of wondering if it's not going to be Tio Maro, because that would be one that would really fit well. But it's too early to get worried about that. But Felicity, I mean, going in there and basically getting in Ra's al Ghul's face, and it's like, oh man, Felicity, do you have any idea what you're doing? And the really cool thing is that Ra's, he doesn't get mad. He takes this as an opportunity to sort of expand on his backstory, learn more about him. Now he mentions he has a son and daughter, and of course, some people jump to Talia al Ghul and Dusan al Ghul. But it has been confirmed by the writers, and they've said it repeatedly, that as far as they're concerned, it's Nyssa who is Raz's oldest child, and if they haven't even decided if Talia exists in their universe, and if she did, that she would be subordinate to Nyssa. So these are probably just some unnamed kids that Ra's al Ghul fathered a long time ago. In the comics, Ra's has fathered several children over his lifetime. There's even a nice one in Batman the Animated Series where his son was some guy that Jonah Hex fought in the Old West. So yeah, I don't think that the daughter that he mentioned in this episode was meant to be Talia, but it does really do a nice job of showing how Ra's al Ghul was once a guy in exactly the same position as Oliver. He had a family, he had these people that he cared about, and then he was presented with this horrible choice to basically see everything he loved destroyed or become the next Ra's al Ghul. And he even sort of basically says to Felicity, like, if you love the guy, go tell him now, because this is going to be your last chance. And that's a surprising amount of humanity coming from Ra's, who's always been presented as, well, he's always been presented as a very multifaceted character. He's somebody who does indeed love his children and has noble goals, but is utterly ruthless in attaining those goals. He's a man who very much believes in he's totally willing to sacrifice innocent people in order to attain what his goals are. And I think Ra's al Ghul's main problem has always been that he really lacks faith in people, and he has his reasons. But what he sort of realizes, I think, fails to realize is that he could probably, in a lot of ways, achieve more as a leader than as an assassin. It's sort of like that line from Superman. They only lack the light to show them the way. Well, Ra's al Ghul doesn't really do a whole lot of light in showing the way. He's all about the darkness. And while he is a guide and a mentor to the League of Assassins, someone with his knowledge and his wisdom and skills could do so much more for the world. But he chooses this path, and I think that's really kind of where he really falls down. And again, as Dig pointed out, he mostly chooses to work with people who are just messed up, broken people looking to run away from their lives. And really, what exactly are the League of Assassins goals even are? I mean, I know what they are in the comics, sort of, kill off 90% of the people in the world so Earth can have an ecological renewal, blah, 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 blah. Like, what the hell are they trying to accomplish on the show? Is it the same thing? I mean, what exactly is the mission statement of the League of Assassins on the show? That really would be nice if they did spell that out. And, yeah, let's see. Lots of nice stuff with Oliver, him saying goodbye to Dig, his concern for Thea, obviously that great stuff with Felicity, him ordering the League of Assassins guys not to kill his friends, and then just the whole thing of him accepting membership in the League of Assassins, getting that badass brand on his back, which, that's been the new logo this whole season, and now we finally see what it all comes to. And then there's just that final shot of him as, was it Al-Sahim, which, as I understand it, from means the arrow in Arabic. I mean, it's just a beautiful culmination. I mean, what a cliffhanger. It's one of those things, it's like, no, I don't want to have to wait a week to find out what happens next. And man, if shows do that, they're doing it right. You can't complain. And, yeah, that's really all I have for you this time around, guys. So as always, please comment, rate, and subscribe, and of course you can follow me on Twitter at Who's Your Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.